but they serve a very useful purpose. Indeed, when I was Deputy Information Minister, I learned to my pleasant surprise that they are an important feedback mechanism for government. On 2 occasions, based on reports that I received from information officers in some districts, we were able to avert potential bloody clashes in some communities where chieftaincy disputes were raging. I passed this information on to national security and they were able to avert it. And it was because of the way that the information officers had embedded themselves in the community and integrated themselves and built some rapport with the community. So they were able to pick up some of the things that the regular security forces miss in their day-to-day operation. But as I indicated, times have gone past them, and therefore we need to ensure that they modernize. So I am still in discussion with the President. At some point, they will be merged with the Ghana News Agency to form the Government Communication Office. And we believe that with the right kind of investments and the right level of human resource recruitments, we will be able to turn them around into an efficient government information dissemination vehicle.
Thank you very much. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It will now be the turn of Honorable Mahama Ayerga.
Thank you very much, Felix. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've come very far from your days as my deputy at the Minister of Information. Essentially, you are becoming the Minister of Information. Well done.
Thank you.
President John Dramani Mahama is setting up government. Do you have a sense of the appointments made so far?
Yes, thank you very much. And I must indicate that it was a real pleasure working with you as my boss at the Information Ministry. You gave me opportunities that have led to my growth, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I think that for some reason, a lot has fallen on me to announce most of the President's nominations. And as I have listened to him and engaged him and looked at the various lists that he has given me, I see a clear pattern. What is clear is that the President is determined to ensure the right balance in his government. He is determined to ensure that there is a generational mix. So you find that there are very experienced hands that he has appointed. And then there are also young techs who, despite their relative youth, have shown capacity to deliver in their previous fields of endeavor. And by and large, the President's nominations have been well received. The President has also ensured that the age-old criticism leveled against Ghanaian governments over limited roles for females is addressed. In fact, only yesterday he swore in 14 new ministers, and he indicated in his speech that if you look at the office of the President, so far, apart from the fact that he has made substantial cuts to the numbers there is quite some equitable representation of both genders. He's made 27 appointments to the office of the President as we speak. That is including the office of the Vice President. Out of that number, 13 are women. That represents 48%. It is the highest number we've had at the presidency. As of last week, if you look at the appointments that he had made, 27% of them, that is in terms of ministerial appointments, appointments to committees or commissions, CEOs of state organizations, and other such appointments, there was 27% representation of women. And he has indicated that so far he has made 42 ministerial appointments. There are 18 more to go. If you look at the specific promise that he made to appoint 60 ministers, and that he will use the opportunity of appointing those 18 to, as it were, tilt the scale in favor of women. And he has made that commitment clear. But this is a man who showed clear intent at the very onset when he nominated a woman to serve as his running mate. And for that reason, Ghana has its first ever female vice president. In fact, at the office of the vice president, out of a staff strength of 10, 6 are women. That is 60% women. work within the outfit of the vice president. If you look at the list of appointments, every single region in Ghana is represented in government. Beyond that, he has been careful to ensure that a substantial number of people who belong to the National Democratic Congress, who subscribe to the social democratic ideology, who subscribe to the vision that he sold to the people of Ghana, find their way into government. At the same time, he has also appointed people with technocratic background who are not necessarily NDC. If you look at the Constitution Review Commission, for instance, almost all of them are people who are well known in civil society, academia, or other such fields, who are not necessarily NDC. Indeed, I dare say that some of them were fierce critics of President Mahama in his previous guise as president between 2013 and 2017. But the president has had no difficulty appointing them. In the last few days, other appointments have been made which reflect a certain thinking that it is not only hardcore members of the NDC who are going to be part of the government, but to the extent that he identifies specific talent and capacity in individuals who may not necessarily be partisan, he is willing to give them opportunity. He has even gone further to ensure ethnic balance in his government. There is Zongo representation in his government. It could have been argued that it was sufficient to remain at regional or even ethnic level. But he has gone down further to appoint people from certain communities in order to indicate that he is one who is willing to work with all. So I would say that so far, the appointments have been impressive. And if the trend is anything to go by, we are going to have perhaps Ghana's most representative government ever. In addition to the fact that it will be the leanest government under the Fourth Republic. Thank you very much.
Do you think that going forward, before he finalizes his appointments, the diaspora of the NDC as a political party will gain some favor?
Well, at this stage, I cannot second guess the president. But given what he has shown so far, I will not be surprised that members of the NDC diaspora, or the Ghanaian diaspora for that matter, to the extent that they show capacity and competence, may find some place in his government. I think that he has broken every glass ceiling there is. There's hardly any section of society that has not found representation in his government. So I would not be surprised if it happens, except that I'm unable to state categorically that that will happen. I will leave that to the president. And once he does that, I'm sure I'll have the distinct honor of announcing it to the people of Ghana in my role as his spokesperson.
Does he regret promising to appoint only 60 ministers of state?
No, he doesn't. President Mahama campaigned strongly on experience. And thus far, he has proven that experience comes. He remains unfazed. He's not ruffled by what he's met. He has remained stoic and has gone about his appointments in a manner that reflects a man who knows what he is about. He meant every word when he promised to have 60 ministers. He didn't say it in jest, or he did not say it to carry favor with the Ghanaian electorate. He meant what he said. In addition to having a lean government, he has also indicated that he is going to enforce discipline and proper conduct. Yesterday, he sent out a strong message that no member of his government will be permitted to engage in any form of small-scale mining. So forget about whether it is illegal or legal. No member of his government is permitted to engage in small-scale mining. He has cautioned us strongly that he will not countenance disrespect and arrogance and misconduct, and that we should always bear in mind that it is the Ghanaian people who employ us. He has indicated that modesty and prudence must be the watchword for every appointee. There are other restrictions that he has placed that he hasn't made public yet, but I'm sure when you find out, you will be pleasantly surprised. He intends to crack the whip and rein in deviant elements who may pop up within his government, for the sole reason that he believes that the mandates of the people of Ghana must be respected. It is not that we in the NDC are exceptional human beings, or we have extraordinary knowledge or expertise. It is just that the people of Ghana thought that the vision we sold found favor with them, and that they did not think that in the last 8 years the country has been governed properly. So the mandate has fallen on us. President Mahama does not intend to abuse it. He intends to use it judiciously to address the most pressing concerns of Ghanaians, so that in the end, some significant progress would have been made by the time that his 4-year mandate comes to an end. So he does not regret making that. There are more stringent commitments that in the fullness of time he will roll out to show that he meant what he told the people of Ghana. Because he is also wary of politicians making vacuous promises. He is fully aware that at a point, the Ghanaian electorate had lost confidence in we politicians because of what they perceive to be deceptive politicking over the years. He wants to lay down the marker that there are yet conscientious and scrupulous politicians around. And these are people who will keep their word to every extent possible. Thank you very much.
So, in your role, will you have an attitude of defending everything that is NDC and government, or you'll be capable of being independent-minded, fair, and acknowledge mistakes when they occur, whilst you also defend the rightful position of government in certain matters?
Thank you very much. Having been my boss in the past at the Information Ministry, I'm sure you are aware of that wall that has so many photographs of past information ministers displayed on it. It is a constant reminder that that position is essentially a revolving door, and that people go in and out of it. One of the reasons for that is that in this position, if you are not careful to conduct yourself in a manner that elicits the belief and confidence of the people, you are unlikely to do your government any good. So it is necessary that in this role, I be as honest and as principled as possible. I have a duty to sell the president's vision, explain the position of government on various matters. One can do that without necessarily being dishonest and untruthful and just towing party lines. Fortunately, I happen to work for a man who has demonstrated through his actions that he is not overtly partisan, despite being a bona fide NDC member and having gone through the mill. He still has the capacity to do what is right. There have been agitations by NDC members, some well-meaning, because they want the government to succeed. They don't want people who they perceive to be suspicious characters to find their way into government. And they have protested. Some have gone a bit overboard. But the president has stood his ground and insisted that in some agencies, some technocratic capacity is needed. He has not flinched, even as he has given opportunity to an overwhelming number of NDC people. He has also been willing to tap people from outside the NDC, but he has not gone back on those actions simply because people within his party have protested. Again, he has a track record of taking punitive action against members of his own government. People you can describe as his close friends. He has taken punitive action against them. So it makes my job a lot easier. I'm not going to have to defend the indefensible because I trust the man I work for to, and indeed if you read his inauguration address, there's a line in there that perhaps we lost sight of, but which is profound. He said that as president, he will exercise sound judgment and make the right calls at the right time. That simply means that he is prepared to do good by the people of Ghana. There's a man who has seen it all. And perhaps you would have thought he would walk into the sunset, having given decades of service to the people of Ghana. But he has thrown his heart into the ring and has come back. He is on a mission to sanitize governance and ensure that government is run in a way that meets the aspirations of the people. Personally, I'm also a conviction politician. When I take positions, I consider them carefully. So once I take them, unless I'm shown verifiable evidence that I'm wrong, I stick to it. And often it may rankle a few people. It may rub off negatively or wrongly on some people. But to the extent that I believe that it is the right thing to do, I will stick to it. There are times when I have publicly voiced opposition to things that have been done by the NDC. Sometimes you face a backlash. But I believe that we all have to learn to put principle above everything. At the end of the day, what binds us is our collective desire to see Ghana progress. We should be bold enough to point out when things go wrong. Only last week I was on TV and I made it clear that I believe that all of us have to serve with a clean heart. We have to do good by the people of Ghana. We only are fortunate that amongst the millions of Ghanaians, we are the few who have been chosen to serve. It is a position of service. It is not one in which we are supposed to lord it over the people and show superiority of intellect or of knowledge of whatever it is that we think we have. But we have to be humble whilst remaining principled. So yes, I am not going to be an outlet for churning out disinformation or misinformation to deceive the people.
In the last 1 week, you've been responding to questions relating to the president's use of private jet belonging to his brother's company. Can you give us some background to that and the reason why the president used his brother's private jet?
Thank you very much. I think it's an important opportunity to clarify this matter. What it is that in the past, the concerns that the people of Ghana have had in relation to presidential travel are costs and propriety. Cost in terms of how much it is costing the state and whether or not there are cheaper alternatives. And then propriety in terms of the decision itself to choose a certain means of travel. These have been the two issues. President Mahama has been concerned about both. In opposition, we criticized President Akufo-Addo's lavish display, where he rented an aircraft costing millions of Ghana cedis to the taxpayer. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, when he became president, one of the first things he did was to ask about the status of the Armed Forces. In the Air Force, there's a unit called the Communications Squadron, which handles presidential aircraft, led by the Air Force commander himself. The president asked them for an update on the status of the presidential aircraft because one of the ways that the MPP sought to defend what we deemed to be waste of taxpayers' money on rentals of expensive jets was that the presidential aircraft was not in good shape. I think it is fair that on assumption of office, the president seeks to find out the state of the aircraft. In the last week or so, he has received an update. And that is why in the recent travel to Angola, Tanzania, and Kenya, he used the presidential aircraft. I happen to have been on it. I can tell you that it is in pristine condition, and it is okay. Once President Mahama knows that it is okay, he will do so. But before then, the option left to him would have been to either rent a replacement aircraft or fly commercial. Both alternatives were going to cost us money. He decided that in the very recent past, during his campaign, his brother happened to have 2 aircrafts, which he made available to him to the extent that he needed to travel. He has been using it. So using it for a week more at no cost to the taxpayer was the best option out of the 3 that he had. And I, as a taxpayer, take me out of the equation as a member of this government. As a taxpayer, I would have no concern if the president makes a choice that costs me nothing, especially when we know the source of the aircraft and its record. Now, let me put it on record that President Mahama is not one who is given to flamboyance and ostentation. I've had the distinct pleasure of traveling with him a couple of times. There was a day that we were supposed to join a commercial aircraft.
So can I?
If you make me, yes, just 1 minute. He was willing to go onto that aircraft that had only 2 seats left without any of his aides, he and his wife. We had to meet up with him later. Another president would have insisted that because we were not finding space, he will rent an aircraft. I have also been with him in an aircraft that had only economy seats from Frankfurt to Accra. He sat in it as president without complaining. So he is not someone, He could have, as President Akufo-Addo did, rented expensive aircraft to ensure his comfort. But he chose to fly economy because that is what was available. So this is a man who will not waste taxpayers' money only so that his creature comfort is met. So I can assure the people of Ghana that once it has been certified and we have felt it, that the presidential aircraft is in good shape, this debate will be over. He will use it every single time that he has to travel, unless, of course, some circumstance makes it impossible. Even then, he will choose the cheapest option available to the extent that it is safe and can take him to wherever he has to go.
The use of the aircraft belonging to his brother, will the office of the president treat it as a gift to the office of the president, or will it be recorded as a gift to John Mahama himself, President Mahama himself?
In the immediate aftermath of the transition, there were many, many things that were not in place for presidential. For instance, we are supposed to work at the office of the president, but for the first few days, we had to basically hang around because the place was not in the best of shapes. The president didn't mind. He operated from his private office in Cantonments. In fact, on the first, second, and third days, he had to sit in some crucial meetings to take important decisions relating to sustainable power supply, relating to resolving challenges with feeding school children and what have you. He had to hold meetings at the Accra International Conference Center, pending some security sweep at the Flagstaff House and what have you. In that period, it became necessary to make some of these adjustments. Rather than go and rent an aircraft that will cost us or go commercial that will cost us, he decided to use the same means that he had been traveling with. Again, mind you, these aircraft belong to his brother, who has a long-standing reputation as one of Ghana's most prominent businessmen. He didn't become who he is because his brother was president. So it's not as though overnight his brother has come into some wealth and he is trying to use his aircraft. Again, if it were the case that President Mahama rented his brother's aircraft at state expense, then perhaps there could be an issue. At this stage, I think that in view of the lapses in the transition and some of the shortfalls in our arrangements, the arrangement he made was the best in terms of protecting the public purse. It was never intended to be a permanent solution to anything. It was a stopgap measure that was to fill in for the difficulty that existed at the time. But as I speak to you, it has been rectified, and there will be no problems going forward.
I perfectly understand that. I haven't adverted my mind to our policy on gifts. That's why I asked you, will it be treated in the records of the presidency as a gift? Because I think that there's something that has been gifted to the government of Ghana, because we received somebody's aircraft to use it for official trip, and we haven't paid for it. So in effect, it's a gift. Is it a gift to John Mahama, or is it a gift to the office of the president? In which case, legally, they receive different treatments. If it's a gift to John Mahama, President John Mahama, as a person, it has different tax implications. If it's a gift to the office of the president, it has different tax implications. So how will you treat what has happened
I think that
going forward in the future, working at the office of the president?
Well, I would have to receive specific briefing on how to, but I'm certain, beyond any doubt, that whatever obligations arise out of any classification that is given to it will be met by the president. I don't think he has any difficulty at all doing that. But it is safe to say that it was the most viable option at the time. To the extent that the aircraft was safe and did not endanger him in any way. It didn't cost us anything. I, as a Ghanaian, would prefer that arrangement to what President Akufo-Addo was doing, to be fair. But as for the classification, I'm sure that the president has a legal counsel, so I'm sure that she can help in determining the classification. But if it is classified and any obligation arises, the president will have no difficulty meeting it, knowing the kind of person that he is.
So, if you listen to Ghanaians who spoke extensively about the matter, one of the things that or an undertone was a question of improper influence. Is that okay? That will, providing such a facility to the president, position the brother of the president in such a way that he would have improper influence over the president.
Well, thank you very much. I think that President Mohammed's track record is pretty clear. His brother's track record is also quite clear, as I indicated in the earlier answer. This is a man who has established, indeed, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama had been a prominent businessman for over a decade and a half before his brother became president, even in his previous guys in 2013 and 2016. He's a well-known businessman. There's a man who owns cement factories and all that on his own volition, without having to rely on government. I do not think that the mere fact that he has assisted his brother with travel, and I must point out that this is an aircraft that the president has been using since his days in opposition. Immediately he was elected, he had not been sworn in, so he had not become president. He made some trips to some African countries. It was the same aircraft that he used. So he only borrowed it for 1 more week, if you like, to use for his travels. I do not think that merely on account of that, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama will wield some overbearing influence on his brother. If there's any influence, the mere fact of being his brother would suffice. He doesn't need to go over and above. And President Mahama is not one given to nepotism, at least of the sort that we saw under President Akufo-Addo. He has not been minded to appoint relatives en masse. I don't think he will ever do that. He was president for a long time, and he didn't do that. He's not going to start doing that. So the people of Ghana can have the firmest of assurances that nepotism will not find its way into President Mohammed's government. He only means to improve the lot of the average Ghanaian, improve our institutions, and ensure that governance itself is reformed. And he has set in motion the processes to do that. But as I indicated, any obligation that arises out of using that aircraft will be met. But no influence whatsoever can be peddled on the back of this particular arrangement.
Is there going to be a relationship between government communication infrastructure and party communication infrastructure? Will you draw a line between the two?
The two are distinct entities. Government is government. The NDC will outlast the NDC government, as has been the case all this while. So the NDC as a political party has the right to decide to throw its weight behind government in terms of the way that it pushes the message out. And I believe that all of us have that duty. Once we wage the campaign on the ticket of the NDC, we are all bound by the desire for the NDC to succeed in government. But we are not going to blur the lines. Government officials remain government officials. They have a responsibility to ensure transparency. One of the ways of doing that is opening up and engaging the people through communication channels. The NDC party still has to carry on its politicking. And the way that it can sustain itself in power is to show that the government that it formed has made be involved in disseminating this information. Concerning its activities, and does not need to, as it were, rope in members of the NDC in their role as communicators to do that. But the NDC itself, as I've indicated, must be interested in selling the message of the government. But they will do so under the umbrella of the party. So the lines will be distinct and will not be blurred in any way.
Thank you very much. I definitely am one of those who believe that you are up to the task. I just put you through a couple of tests. You slipped a little. I'm not sure people in this room noticed it. I'm not sure how many people noticed it. I'll tell you where you slipped outside this room. But overall, you did a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you. We continue to learn every day. So I'm more than willing to receive feedback from you to improve how I manage government's communications. Thank you.
Ajia wants to say something, so please let's. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Leader. I recognize you now, Honorable Ajia.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, Honorable Felix. There is an institution or a group of persons who need very serious support when it comes to communication. That is persons with hearing and speech impairment. The unfortunate thing is that if you look at some of our areas, districts or regions, you might go into a whole region and you don't have a single institution where these individuals can have education. And it's becoming quite difficult. No matter how good they are, the opportunity is not there. What will you do differently to ensure that these persons are caught as early as possible? At least, if not in the districts, but the regions, so that they wouldn't be left out. Now, before we left governance in the last, His Excellency John Mahama's administration, I recall that there was the introduction of Braille, where a lot of material was supplied. After that, we didn't hear anything. Again, I do not know whether these people are being considered and that these materials have gotten to them. Because when you go to those institutions where they are, you realize that they don't have learning materials. And most of them are even from very poor families. Can you also tell us something about those materials? And if none, what will you do differently to enable them have teaching and learning equipment? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I would imagine that this will fall directly under the ambit of the Ministry of Education. But it is an important point. You would notice that it is a minor point I'm about to make, but it gives indication of the intent that the NDC has. You will notice that during the campaign, wherever President Mahama went, there was someone on hand to do the sign language so that those of our compatriots who have difficulty with hearing or have hearing impairment will appreciate what is going on. When President Mahama was president before, we had a visually impaired minister. I am certain that at some point, persons of that caliber will find their way into government. Yesterday, when he inaugurated or he swore in the 14 ministers, he gave the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, under whose ages issues like this or aspects of it may fall. He gave her the marching orders to ensure that the social protection sector is properly managed. I also do know that the Ministry of Education itself has its systems that it uses to cater to the needs of these people. So perhaps some collaboration between or among different government agencies to ensure the realization of this may be helpful in this direction. And I'm quite certain that President Mahama will give his blessing to such initiatives that go to the aid of our less fortunate brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Ajia. It's now the turn of Honorable Umar.
Thank you, Chairman, for this opportunity. Comrade Felix Kwachi, congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable.
Comrade, I know your sector is, you are in charge of government communications. And I want to find out, will you have a deputy?
Well, it is for the president to determine. At least, as far as I know, the position of Minister of State, Government Communication, as of now, has not been given a deputy, but there's a deputy spokesperson. I will perform 2 roles that have been fused together, but one of them has a deputy. It is up to the president to decide whether there will be a deputy for the ministerial role. But as I indicated, everything President Mahama does in terms of composing his government will amount to 60. So it is up to him to determine how he juggles the cards around to reflect that particular objective. Yes. But he has said that it's not every ministry that will have a deputy minister. That he has placed on record. Yes.
Very well. My second question is about the public relations officers at the various MDAs. Will they be working under you?
Yes. Everything relating to government communication will pass through me. That is a mandate that I have been given. Also, all the agencies that used to operate under the SWAL Information Ministry will report to me. Except that, as I've indicated, an effort will be made to restructure and modernize their operations with a view to achieving a much leaner team than we have under the Ministry of Information. I will have responsibility for the ISD, or Government Communication Office, as it will come to be known. The PROs that you speak of are employees of this organization. And for that matter, the reporting lines are clear that the back will stop with me. Yes.
Thank you. This question may sound a little bit controversial, but it is a question I can't leave. You know, when you look at the MDA's PROs, a lot of them were brought on board by the LSY government to be spokesperson for government at the various MDAs. Will you continue to have them there, or you will also go to hire your own communication officers who will have to be or have in sync with your ideology? Thank you.
I think that I have worked in the Ministry of Information before, so I have worked closely with the ISD. And I know that they do recruitments over time. So there have been 4 changes in government. So at every time that we've had a government, recruitments have been made. I don't think that we can have a policy that says that merely because you were recruited by one government that was formed by a particular party, you should lose your job. What is going to happen is that as part of the restructuring, we will assess the strengths of all employees within that agency. To the extent that there are shortfalls, we will make efforts to bring them up to scratch. If there is a need to engage additional hands who bring in some exceptional expertise or capacity or capability, why not? The ultimate objective is to have an efficient system through which government communications run. And for that matter, anybody who proves him or herself capable of undertaking that activity has nothing to fear. So we are not going to go on a wholesale dismissal of people based on political coloration. It will be purely based on merits and what one can do well. Yes.
Thank you. I wish you well, but one more thing.
All right.
You had MDOs, PROs, who, instead of doing the PRO for the companies or the agencies they're working for, were doing politics. Will you leave them to continue doing politics negatively at your government?
I'm not sure that those people were staff of the Information Service Department. There were people who were political appointees who were appointed. Many of them have left, or they know that they would have to live with a change in government. They are political appointees in the same way that ministers have had to pack bag and baggage. People who were political appointees at the presidency have left. They would also leave. But as for the staff of the Information Service Department, who are civil servants, they will remain. But what they do or where they go will depend on their capacity. That's why I said that an assessment will be made of their strengths to assess what they can, or where they can fit within the structure. If it is necessary to engage more hands, but in a manner that does not, as it were, take us back to square one and burden the public purse, we will do so. Yes.
Thank you. Honorable Shaibu. Yes, quickly, you have the floor.
Comrade, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you've answered all the questions beautifully. Just to let you know that you have a critical role to play at that position the president is putting you. You represent young people in this country. They look up to you. Your success will bring on more young people. Please don't disappoint the young guys and women in the country. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, my honorable colleague.
Sorry, thank you, Dan. Okay, I will conclude just by asking a quick question to the nominee. First of all, honorable nominee, Felix, my brother.
Thank you very much, my brother.
The question is, just want to clarify this for Ghanaians about your position as the Minister-Designate for Government Communication and that of the Minister responsible for communication, digital technology, and innovation.
All right. I think it's an important question. Yes. I think there's a vast difference between the two. Even though there may appear to be similarities in the nomenclature, communications. The Communications Ministry essentially deals with regulating the broadcasting and technology space. They have agencies that perform functions that are completely different from what the Minister of State Government Communication does. My role is to ensure that the people of Ghana know what government is doing. The role of the Communications Minister is to manage the entire ecosystem through which communication and technology and what have you are done. So they deal with issues like broadcasting, they supervise the mobile network operators, they deal with internet service providers, and all such activities as may fall under their purview and as their enabling legislation requires them to do. But a spokesperson who tells the people of Ghana what the president is doing or what the president has not done, or someone who coordinates the way in which government's information is passed on to the people, does not regulate the space as the Ministry of Communication. So I've had opportunity to work in both ministries, so I know that there is a world of difference between the two, even though the nomenclature may sound confusing to those who may not have the benefits of having closely been associated with the two different ministries. Yes.
Thank you. So, follow up. So, you don't anticipate any overlaps?
I don't. I think that the people of Ghana are quite used to the term government communication. They know exactly what it means. For many years, I was a member of the government communication team. I was not working at the Ministry of Communications. My role, together with my colleagues in that setup, was simply to channel government's information to the people. So it is a matter of nomenclature, really. And I don't anticipate that there will be any confusion whatsoever. People know exactly what the two ministries represent. At some point, it was thought that the two ministries could be fused, but that comes with its own problems. There tends to be an excessive focus on one part of the work as against the other. The president believes that now this whole idea of government communication should come under his outfit for greater efficiency to be achieved in terms of what the systems that are put in place can achieve for all of us. Yes.
Thank you, my brother. I have no doubt that you are the man for the job. I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
I will proceed now to basically welcome everyone behind you who have come to support you. And then I'll call out the names on the list that I have been given. I have here Nana Obokase Ampea, Apejahene Asebu traditional area. Nana Kweja, Autodeson, the servant.
That's familiar territory for you.
Fisherman of Mori. Nana Imowre. Nana Ohendom Kwekufo. Otredom. Yeah. Mpuntuhene of Mori. Supi Anan. Bentu Supi. Mori. Nana Densehene. Akofu Abebio, Mori, and Nana Kwesi Ejir, out of 2014. Nsana, one royal family, Amosma. Nana Kojo, Mr. Kojo, no, Nana yet. Mr. Kojo Aku, former constituency chairman of Abra Sebu Kwamankasi constituency. Dorcas Mensah, the constituency deputy women organizer. Isaac Nkatia, constituency deputy communications officer. Mr. Vincent Kumsin, again Abra Sebu Kwamankasi NDC constituency chairman. Honorable Neve Komi Adams, the Central Regional Chairman of the NDC. And then
Secretary.
Professor Samuel Kweku Hayford, consultant to the Ministry of Education. Okakabin Aidan Ando.
He's the Omanhini of the Kwamankasi traditional area.
So Omanhini
of Kwamankasi
traditional
No,
area.
Kwamankasi.
Kwamankasi
traditional area.
Kwamankasi.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I have Madam Priscilla Ahen, former MC of Cape Coast. And then Madam Faustina Lamte, Regional Women's Organizer. You are all welcome. And thank you for coming to support my brother from my region.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. All right.
Mr. Nominee, you are discharged.
Thank you.
You will hear from the committee.
All right.
Honorable Ekopein should get ready to be in the seat. Honorable members, please have a seat.
I crave your indulgence. There was a major omission. We have the Omanhin of the Abra traditional area. Omintin Nana Otu, the 14th. He is also in our midst. He is actually the Omanhin of the traditional area where I come from. So I crave your indulgence to acknowledge him.
Nana Mahin, we recognize you. Thank you very much for coming. Can we have the clerk to administer the oath for the next nominee, please? Oath, please.
Okay.
I
Ekopein Ochil Eduamwa,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
do in the name of Almighty God swear
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable nominee, you are welcome. Please, can you take about 2 minutes to tell us about yourself, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, my name is Ekopein Ochil Eduamwa. I was born in the year 1972. I completed my secondary school education in the year 1992. I went to Commander Training College, so I'm a teacher. After which I went to the University of Cape Coast to pursue a diploma in business studies. I later became a member of parliament for good people of Gomwa East from 2009 to 2017. I have a bachelor's degree in law and an MBA from Central University. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Well, thank you very much. You are welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Honorable Alasan Uma.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Honorable nominee, I have a challenge with your region, which is closer to Accra. And we have an issue with land disputes and conflicts. How do you plan to end it or mitigate those challenges, like Kaswa coming to Accra?
Honorable Chairman, you agree with me that the regional minister may not have a direct role in helping people to litigate their individual and private land issue. In that vein, I'm unable to directly state what I can do to ensure litigation is stopped in that area.
Thank you. I thought, what about the population that has moved from Accra, Greater Accra, and amassing or in droves to your region vis-a-vis the taxes paid? How do you plan to rake in those money back to your region instead of them bringing it to Accra?
In terms of tax, Honorable Chairman, population moving from Accra to the central region is a blessing to us. And that I, as a coordinator of the MMDAs, will ensure that we improve upon our IGF and ensure that all those who are to pay taxes will have to do so, especially when we know the numbers that are supposed to pay taxes.
Thank you. I'm satisfied. I wish you well.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Any further question? Then I give the floor to the Vice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Ekope, congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
This is Yaye Dufie.
I assume.
Welcome to the club of regional ministers.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Present. I wish you well. I know you will do well. But I just have just one question. As a regional minister, you are going to be in a region where you will have other institutions with their parent ministries. These institutions are some ministries, departments, and agencies with their parent, companies in Accra. Their budget is drawn from Accra because we have tried over the years to do this composite budget, which hasn't really worked well. So these ministries, you have a Ministry of Trade with its office in the region. You have other agencies also in the region. But they take their instructions and their budget from Accra. Many a times, contracts are given to them or executed in the region, and you will have no knowledge of it. Sometimes you will have to sign up the certificate to a project you haven't heard of or you don't know anything about it. as the regional minister, when you become the regional minister, not if, when you become the regional minister, how would you ensure that all the various projects that will be going on in the region, you have a full picture of it and have some level of control these projects and be able to monitor them? Because one of your jobs will be to monitor the projects that are being carried in your region. Please, how would you do that in making sure that you bring the whole thing together? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, if I'm giving the nod, first and foremost, I'll draw them closer. I'll go to the offices, know them, and know what they do. I'll make them part of the coordinating activities of the regional regional minister. There are cases where you behave like the head of the region, and so you do not care what happens around you. When that happens, then you look control. But if you make them part of your administration, where you have consistent correspondence with them, definitely they will open up and you'll be aware. If you are the one who is going to sign that contract, then you should know where that contract is coming from. It doesn't mean you should manage it. Of course, by their setup, they may have the capacity to handle it. But once you are the regional minister, and if you are the one you should sign, ab initio, you should be part of that contract at every activity. And the best way to do that is to be with them from day one. Thank you.
Second question is to do with the low revenue levels in the districts that you'll be presiding over. And by that I mean the district assemblies, even the metropolitan one. So, as a regional minister, how would you help to ensure that the district assemblies' revenues are enhanced? Because there are property taxes that are not efficiently collected. There are market, levies that in some places nobody knows where it goes. How would you ensure that about 20 districts or so, if you put them all together in your region, enhance the tax revenue, which will give you the IGFs to be able to do some of the things you want to do in the region? You know the region is a very poor region and needs money to be able to do things. What comes from, yes, Central Region is beautiful but poor. How would you ensure that, apart from the central government monies that you come, that basically goes into, goods and services, I'm talking about the common fund, that the IGFs that you get are sufficient enough to develop your various districts? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, you said that the central region is very poor. It may be poor, but not very poor. In fact, I'm not comfortable when I hear central region is poor. Maybe it's because we're unable to collect the taxes as you just said. But what I would do first and foremost is to educate the MMDAs. For now, many of them may be new entrants and that they will feel comfortable in their seat. I will ensure that you not become a district chief executive or metropolitan chief executive and be sitting in your seat. You'll be part of the tax collection. You should be part of education. We need to educate the people who are supposed to pay the tax. And we should find more flexible ways of collecting the taxes. And so it will not be like if we're going to collect a property tax, somebody sees you and run to the bush. It should be friendly. So I think that having been an MP before, and knowing very well that if we do not get common fund, nothing else goes on there, I will educate them. They need education. Those who pay the taxes in education and those who are supposed to collect the taxes in education. So introduce fresher ways of, getting the taxes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm from the region. For the last 8 years, you know what has happened in this country? The economy is not been good. The national cake is going to be small. So nobody will tell your story for you. Don't say you are rich. Otherwise, your cake will be smaller. I wish you the best. I know you will do well. You are a former MP, Gomoa East. I served with you here in Parliament, and some of our colleagues here also know you. We know you will do well, and I wish you all the best. I'll proceed to welcome the guests behind you who are here to support you, and then we'll bring your proceedings to a close.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, may I use this opportunity to thank His Excellency President Mahama for giving me the opportunity to serve him, even at the time that the numbers of ministers have been reduced. I also want to thank Her Excellency Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, for giving me the opportunity. I want to also thank my good people of Central Region, and for that matter, the regional executive for being there for me. And I want to promise them that we will not disappoint ourselves. We are all going to work together. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
I will proceed to read out the list I have here. No, I have a question. The chairman has a question. So we'll take the chairman's question, and then we'll bring proceedings to a close. Your proceedings.
Honorable Member.
Honorable Chair.
There is so much apathy these days of non-state actor participation in local governance, particularly in the district assemblies and then the regional coordinating level. Given the nod, how will you encourage non-state actor participation in local governance?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I think the best thing, as I said, in the area of tax is to educate. Draw closer to them. Let them be part. Be friends to them. Because you cannot be assuming certain posture and expect to attract them. Go down. Let them feel part of your administration. And automatically you come on board. For instance, you want the Traditional Council to be part of you. You should be part of them first and foremost. And so we are going to ensure that our relationship with the various association institutions will be that cordial to ensure that even before we call them, they come for us to develop Central Region. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Are you aware of the abandoned projects in the Central Region, particularly the E-blocks? If you are aware, given the nod, what measures will you put in place to ensure completion of these projects?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. The abandoned projects in Central Region are more than the E-blocks. We have a huge Commander sugar factory also abandoned, and that we are going to tackle all of them with light speed, first and foremost by having an audit of uncompleted projects, bring them to the table, restructure, and see how best we can fine-tune them to suit the race-setting agenda of His Excellency President John Mahama.
Honorable Minister-Designate, what do you want the people of the Central Region to remember you for after your tenure of office as a minister responsible for the region?
Honorable Chair, thank you for this important question. Honorable Chair, I will want them to remember me for laying down a foundation in Central Region that will encourage the youth to be part of job creation and get more jobs for themselves, and so also open up the tourism sector in the Central Region. I'm saying this because the tourist attraction in Central Region is not indigent friendly, in the sense that even Ghanaians are unable to go to Central Region for tourist activities because hotels and other facilities are very expensive. And so if anybody wanted to go to Central Region for tourist activity, what they do is that they crash it. So the bus will leave in Accra and return 6 in the evening, meaning that they will have to go to several places at the same time. If the hotel facilities were cheap, at least they would have had 3 days to have a meaningful tourism, encounter. And so I think that Ekwopen Orchard will be remembered for having laid a good foundation for the youth in terms of agriculture, in terms of tourism and fishing. And that would open up the region for its economic activity. So Central Region will not be said to be a poor region again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ekwopen. Congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm now going to go ahead and then read out the names I have on the list. Nana Kwesi Enim, the third, Jasihini of Bremen Jamra, Nana Apakranchi, the seventh, Chief of Ekumfi Abaka, Mr. Gabriel Nikomi Adams, the Central Regional Secretary, Honorable Presla Ahin, former MCE Cape Coast, Madam Faustina Lamte, the Central Regional Women Organizer, Mr. Vincent Kumson, Constituency Chairman of the NDC for Abura Sebu Kwaman Kase, Nana Abotare Okwariba, Asebi Traditional Area, Sarah Anderson, the Woman Organizer, NDC Ekumfi, Nana Asamoah, Vice Chairman, NDC Ekumfi, Eric Krenzel, Central Regional Alpha Project Coordinator, Janet Kwanzaa, Central Regional Deputy Women's Organizer, Thomas Kobner, Chairman, Asin South, NDC, and Justina Kwanzaa, Deputy Communications Officer, Asin South, for the NDC. Thank you very much for coming to support our regional minister. I wish you all the best. You are discharged.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, the next nominee, last but not the least, should get ready. Upper West Region. Thank you. And as the nominee is seated, will the clerk please administer the oath? Thank you.
I, Charles Lawanga Puozwin,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you, nominee. You are welcome. Please, can you take 2 minutes to tell us about yourself, please? And then we'll start the...
My name is Charles Lawanga Puozwin. I was born on the 3rd of June, 1977. I'm a lawyer by profession. I come from Nyene in the Jirapa municipality. I attended my elementary school all in Upper West. Went to St. Francis Xavier Minor Seminary where young priests are trained. From there, I went to University of Ghana and read law. Thereafter, I went to the Ghana School of Law. I was called to the bar 2003, 22 years ago. Then thereafter, I taught in the law school as a teaching assistant between 2009 and 2019, 10 years. Thereafter, I went to do my LLM in Law of the Sea and Ocean Governance. I'm married with 2 daughters and a son. I'm currently a member of the Bar Council. I'm the Regional Bar Secretary for the Upper West Region. I'm the Regional Secretary of the Upper West Region. This is my 2nd term. So I believe this is enough.
Thank you very much. I will now invite Honorable Hajia.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, Mr. Nominee.
Thank you.
Let me take the opportunity to thank some senior comrades who have come along with you, and that is our senior-most comrade. Because I've not been calling the name, sometimes I get lost with the name. Honorable Kumbo, you are most welcome to our midst. You've been a senior person and led us so many times before leaving. And then Honorable Bate. So the 1979 group down, some of us are here. And my other brothers there, you are most welcome. The Upper West Region was carved out of the division of Upper Region. And as a woman from the Upper East myself, I know the dynamics in the Upper West Region. Poverty, outmoded cultural practices and customary practices, lack of schools, lack of support, bad roads, and lack of support for the farmers has always been one of the biggest challenges. If you go to the market today, and you go to Agboguloshi especially, and Accra Central, the women there, some of them are just girls. Some, I would say, not even up to the age of 18. And most of them are from the Upper West, if not from the Northern region. An interview and interaction with them when I was chairperson for gender showed that they need a lot of support to ensure that they get to where actually they can take care of themselves. But it's not possible. Unfortunately, we left government. What we saw was a putting up of structures for these people to go in and stay. Thus encouraging many more to come, thinking that it is a gold mine where they come and just pick and go. What will you do to stop? If not completely, at least reduce it seriously. Because I know there are a lot of intellectuals coming from the Upper West to ensure that this menace is reduced. What will you do?
Mr. Chairman, as rightly put, we the Upper Westerners belong to one of the poorest in the country. And the first and most important thing is to do youth empowerment. That is to encourage the youth and empower them to know that within the Upper West region you can succeed. You don't need to come all the way to Greater Accra and come and belittle yourself, because especially that we from the Upper West, we are very proud of ourselves. So one of the things that I'll do is to assist in the creation of jobs. Luckily for us, the NDC manifesto talks about a couple of things that we could, in the interim, use, like the coding system, issues around the apprenticeship system, as well as the farmer service centers. Because we are generally agrarian, we need to encourage our youth. That is always not about coming to the south that can enable you earn a livelihood, but you can be home and equally earn a livelihood. So the most important thing we must do first is to give opportunities to our youth by way of creating the opportunities for them to work. And secondly, we ought to also educate our people about how some of the traditional things we do and our cultural practices are hindering the growth and development of women. Fortunately, the affirmative bill has been passed, and we endeavor that Upper West should be one of the regions that will encourage women participating in education and other fields. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. My second question has to do with Upper West being one of the educational hubs in this country. And that is where we find UDS. It's a very big institution with so many students around. But there is a very big problem. Lack of accommodation is one of the issues. Lack of support for the students to enable them at least take care of themselves, because most of those who are there, they come from neighboring regions, and we know how our regions are. With accommodation, they would have been properly housed so that the running round will reduce. To look for accommodation, that will reduce. What will you do to ensure that at least if you will not be able to get accommodation for everybody, even if not government one, but other stakeholders who would want to put up hostels, what will you do to ensure that accommodation issues are remedied in UDS? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, the university has a vast tract of land. And therefore, one of the things that I'll be encouraging is private partnership with the university, where the lands agreements are entered into for a period of time. The investor builds up the hostels, and the university the hostels for a period of time. Thereafter, it reverts to the university. So basically, with accommodation, we'll have to look for investors, partner them, allocate university lands to them. They build up the places, they run it for a period of time, recoup whatever investments they put in, and thereafter the hostels become property of the university. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your responses. I wish you the best, and I will continue to follow to see what actually is going on there, because it's a place of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Aja. Honorable Shah, you are on the floor now.
Thank you, Chairman. Chasi, Council, congratulations.
Thank you, my brother.
You know, I'm an associate member of your region. And so I have a great interest in the Upper West region. You've been regional secretary for some time now. You're familiar with the region very well. Tell us the major challenges you think your region faces and how you plan to tackle them if you are given the nod as a regional minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first and the most important one is the road network. The entire Upper West roads are deplorable. It doesn't connect to any of the other regions. Therefore, commuting on those roads is a disaster. That is one of the major issues we face in Upper West. The second one relates to the empowerment of the youth. Virtually, our young men and women have all resorted to being part of betting because they think that that is the only livelihood of success. So we need to empower them. Lastly, is abundant projects. We have several projects within the Upper West region which, when completed, could enhance education and health facilities. But all these projects have been abandoned. When I get a nod to become regional minister, the first important thing is to encourage and create job opportunities for our youth. That keeps all of us within the region. Then regarding roads, we'll do periodic road maintenance, rehabilitation of our roads, whilst we continue to plead with central government to be able to do the major roads for us, whilst the internal ones will use the limited available means, possibly using the drip machines from the various MMDCs to rehabilitate the roads to make them more travel. Then the ones that we are capable of completing, especially the abandoned projects, we have to take a review of them, look at them and see whether they are feasible, or we need external support, or we need to solicit for grants from other people, not necessarily waiting for central government to allocate or award those projects to contractors. I believe that in pursuing either NGOs, pursuing either international bodies, we are capable of raising some funding for these abandoned projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Earlier, you alluded to the fact that agri-mechanization centers will come handy as far as farmers are concerned. One of the key challenges with farmers has to do with cattle rearers and the conflict between cattle rearers and farmers. I know that this cuts across from Bono East region through to Savannah and then to the Upper West region. Would you consider collaborating with your other regional ministers from these two regions to, as it were, manage, because cattle rearers are part of the system, and so manage and see how you can resolve various conflicts that invariably affect farmers? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first and most important thing is that most of the cattle is owned by we, the indigenes. And so the first point of view is to be able to form some form of association with the owners of the cattle, because sometimes the cattle owners, you don't find them being the herdsmen. They bring people in to herd, so that makes it difficult. But if we are able to sit with the cattle rearers and let them understand that once your animals stray into somebody else's farm, there will be a difficulty. So we must start from there. Then thereafter, you can do the various regional collaborations, where we will have to put in place some committees or teams to be able to fashion out the best way to resolve cattle entering people's farms and destroying them after they have put in all their life investment. So that I believe that way we'll be able to resolve the issues of cattle entering into people's farms. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot end this voting without talking about our women folk in your region. They hold the power to our households, and we think that the Women Development Bank concept or policy should come handy. Tell us how you intend to make use of this policy to benefit our women and to increase their income levels.
Thank you. If you take the Upper West region, we have 51.2% being women and the 48% being men. And most of our households are more or less managed by our mothers and our sisters and our wives. And therefore, up north, generally, we have a certain culture where we know that the woman has to make sure that there's a meal on the table for the man. Once the Women's World Bank come, in the initial stages, what I intend to do or propose will be that such money should be given to groups, not individuals, where each of them serves as a collateral on the other. So when it's a group of women, let's say 20, and you give them an amount of, let's say, 100,000, they share it equally, and each of them serve as a collateral for the other. So they encourage each other to all work and then make sure that they return the money. It's better that way for starters when the bank come in, rather than to give chunks of money to individuals, and when they fail, it becomes very difficult to retrieve such monies. So my first proposal would be that they should come in the form of group loans to the groups who are recognized and identifiable within our communities. So that is what I'll propose, and I think that will help a lot, both in sustaining the income that comes into the bank, as well as increasing the number of women that we can support with the Women's World Bank. Thank you.
Chairman, let me conclude by, I note that very senior comrades accompanied you to this place, including our venerable senior Kumbo, Dr. Kumbo. I mean, the venerable chairman, regional chairman is there, Chairman Bonnie, and the rest of that. I mean, we don't expect that you disappoint them as a regional minister. Please prove that young people can take this region to a higher level, and we expect you to take the Upper West region to a different level altogether. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. As I said, I will do my best, and I believe that with the support of the senior comrades you've asked, the reason why they are all here is that they know that I'm a person that likes to consult. And I like to consult. I like to take decisions based on dialogue, that we come to consensus and take decisions. That's why you have all the senior members of the party here. Some would have been here too, but it is unfortunate that there was a mix-up. But we are grateful to be here, to be vetted. And I believe that once you give me the nod, maybe one day you ask me to come to your region and help. Thank you.
Honorable Richard, you are on the floor now.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want to congratulate the nominee on his nomination by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. At the just ended polls, you won all 11 constituencies for the NDC. And I believe it took the cooperation and support of all party members in the region. And I believe they are counting on you to bring them together and then to support them. As the regional minister, you are going to be father of the region. How are you going to ensure that you do not leave anybody behind from both sides to ensure that we retain the 11 seats and even with more or higher votes? And also, what are some of the potentials in the region that can bring about job creation? Thank you.
The first one is that when I became regional secretary, the Upper West had 6 seats out of 11. In my first term, we moved from 6 to 8 as the party administrator. Then subsequently, we went to 11 over 11. What I did as administrator of the party was to relocate to the Upper West region. Most people know that I had a very vibrant practice in the Greater Accra region. So I went back home to the Upper West region because we had come to the conclusion that if we don't get involved and we all decide to live in the city, or for that matter, Greater Accra, we'll go back home and there'll be nothing. So once I went back, with the help of the elders, the party faithfuls, we've always dialogued. Even when we go through elections and there are disagreements, we dialogue. Dialogue is always the ultimate. And for me, all persons that encounter me knows I'm a peace-loving person, and I don't easily get annoyed. So that was the posturing, and I believe that will be the same posturing I'll use. With my experience at the bar, I'm 21 years as a lawyer. I'm going to be 22 years in September. So we have always managed human beings as lawyers. You can't be a successful practitioner for 22 years without managing human beings. So I believe that with that experience, I should be able to bring everybody on board to make sure that ideas are discussed. I shouldn't be seen as the lead person. I should be seen as a lead person with support of my MPs, support of the elders, support of the party, so that whatever decision we take, however wrong or right it is, I know others participated. And that way, you carry the whole region along. The second question was about how to create job opportunities. Because we predominantly do agriculture, that is where I believe that we must invest in. And that is why we are excited that at least the first farmer service center was built partially in 2016 in the Sisala West District, and we lost power. So the structure is there. So I believe that that should be the first farmer service center that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ought to build. And then from there, we can create the jobs. And it has a trickle effect. Once there's farms, other things will come into play. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. I wish to congratulate you and wish you God's blessings as the regional minister for the Upper West region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you done on yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, you have the floor.
Lawyer, congratulations. Your endurance up there and your determination has brought you this far. Congratulations. The road between Upper West and Upper East is very bad.
It's not a road.
There's there are a lot of opportunities for economic development between the two regions, but the connection is extremely important. What assurance do I have from you that you will dedicate significant time and attention to work with your parliamentary caucus so that in 4 years' time, that will be one of the best roads in the country?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All of us in both the Upper West and Upper East regions know that that connection ought to be there because our traditional roles will play. The play-based system of Frafres and Dagabes, the Sisales and the Kasines and all that. I think that it should then be a collaborative effort between our region Upper West and your region Upper East, so that we can have a stronger force beyond our 11 MPs. We add the 15 of you from Upper East, making it 26. That would be a louder voice if we were to come together as a group to ensure that we all put some form of pressure, I don't want lobbying, before the minister in charge of roads to be able to know that 26 MPs are crying that you need to connect the Upper West to the Upper East. I believe that dialogue, we should start it that way as it used to be. Because we're one region, Upper Regions until 1983, when we were carved out as Upper West and you as Upper East. So I believe that with collaboration, we should be able to have the roads done. 26 MPs will be louder than 11. So I believe that we'll invite our brothers from Upper East to join us to be able to do the lobbying.
The road between Wa and the Savannah region itself has deteriorated significantly. Can I have your assurance that we will work very closely on that one as well?
Yes, that is so. And I believe I cited some form of a letter that part had been awarded. It was before the elections, and I do not know the state at which that letter or the effect of it after we took power. But I believe that when I get a nod as regional minister, fortunately, Biauribe and I are colleagues at the bar, and we've done several things together. So I believe that we can collaborate and have that part done as well, including our MPs and all stakeholders in both regions.
Do you farm?
Yes, I do.
What do you farm?
It's called, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it says sesame. It's smaller like beans, very sesame. That's what I farm in the Sisala East Municipal Assembly. The place is called Santijang.
Do you appreciate the potential of your region in cotton production?
Yes, when we were growing up, there was huge tracts of farms that were cotton. That's why we had the cotton processing factory is still there in Upper West.
The Jinri.
So, there, yes. But as we grew up, gradually, people lost interest in cotton farming. So maybe we may need to look at it again and find out the reasons why cotton farming was abandoned. Most people now do maize and soya, maybe with the intention to have it exported. And there's a small factory in the Sisala East, which does a milling of maize. So I believe that maybe that is the reason why people want ready market. So that is why people have shifted to maize and soya farming. But I believe that once cotton had done well before in Upper West, it can be an opportunity to relook at it, to revisit it. And if it is feasible still, it is something that we can pursue.
Why do you think it's not feasible at this stage?
The reason is that the last time I heard of cotton farming in the Upper West region is over 20 years ago. So that is why I said we need to find out the reasons why factories that were involved in it, tractors that were being used and all that are being packed. What are the reasons? Maybe it's not viable. Maybe it is, or maybe new forms of farming. The cotton has come and then the persons involved do not meet the criteria. So we need to still look at it and be sure that once we are going back into the cotton farm, we do it and do it well. That is the reason why I said we may have to check and see whether it's viable.
A little over 16 years ago, not 16 actually, 6 plus 8 plus 4 will give you 12. A little over 13 years ago, I was personally involved in a major campaign in your region to revive cotton production in your region. And within a year or two of campaigning and investing in the cotton subsector, we were able to bring back the Jinri in Tumu to start working. That created a lot of jobs, and then we increased cotton production to over 1,000% within 2 years. Do I have your commitment to revisit the project to develop cotton and engage in value addition as one of the key subsectors and campaign promises of the NDC?
Yes, Senior, you have my word, and that I'll look into it as I indicated. For me, I think those are the things that will immediately create jobs for the youth and to prevent our sisters and brothers from coming down south thinking that there are greener pastures here, only to come and go through inhumane treatment and to live in deplorable places. So any opportunity that must, any activity that must give me the opportunity to get the youth employed, I will definitely pursue it. And I promise to speak to you sooner when I go back to the Upper West region, if I get a nod as the regional minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leader. Mr. Nominee, thank you very much. I wish you all the best. And at this stage, I would say you've actually been discharged, and you hear from the committee. I will quickly read the names of the people who have come to support you. Sorry, you can't ask questions. Sorry.
Honourable members, order, order. Let there be order. Please, we are sorry. We don't recognize friends. Please.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you. The list I have here, I'll start with Professor Benjamin Kumbo, our own revered majority leader, and a former MP for Laura Nandom. He's been a Minister for Defense, Justice and Attorney General, Interior, Health, and many more. Leader. Abdul Nasser Sani, Regional Chairman, Mumuni Believers, Vice Chairman, Thomas Said, Regional Organizer, Basira Sankara, Regional Youth Organizer, Alaji Isa Haku Sadiq, WA Central Chairman, Tiana Boniface, Chairman DBI, Abu Salifu Tama, Secretary WA Central, Hassan Danwana, Abdul Salim, no titles, Felix Daramani, President of Zavia Old Boys Association, Khalid Hafiz, businessman. And then I recognize the chiefs from the House of Chiefs in the Upper West region. Na Ali Awudu Purple, Bertore Na, and leader of one Na delegation. Na Kadiri Ibrahim, secretary to WANA. Na Hachim Siedu Soli, Konji Hina. Na Imoro Purple, Ya Delina. Na Said Isahaku, Koro Yenina. These are the list of names I have here. I hope I have done justice to the names. Sorry. Yeah. I have just read what was sent to me. Yeah. Now, Mr. Nominee, as I said, you are just discharged and you hear from the committee. Thank you very much for coming.
I'm most grateful. I'm most grateful to all the panel members. I take the opportunity to thank the people of Upper West, and especially those who are here. I also thank all our MPs, 11 MPs in the House. I want to thank the biggest thank goes to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
The media, please wait. We haven't finished.
Nominating me to represent the people of Upper West. And I believe that once I get a note, I will not disappoint. I'm most grateful.
Please, you are discharged. Honourable members, you can wait a little. Honourable members. Honourable members. Order, order. Clerks, get closer. We'll take decision.
Sorry, honourable members, the committee is still in session, so the camera and the interviews, please should cease immediately. After, you can do your interviews and camera work. Thank you. Honourable members, please have a seat. Thank you.
Vetting of the nominees under reference has come to an end. Vetting of the nominees under reference has come to an end. Today, the following minister-designates were vetted. 1. Governor Minta Akandong. 2. Samuel Okujato Ablakwa. 3. Isifu Sedu. 4. Mrs. Charity Gardner. 5. Salifu Isifu. 6. Wilbert Petty Brentum. 7. Joseph Nelson. 8. Joseph Adai Akwabwa. 9. Francis Owusu Entry. 10. Felix Kwachi Ofosu. 11. Edumwa Ekopenyi Ochre. And 12. Charles Luanga Pozon. Honourable members, the vetting has been conducted within the meaning of Standing Order 217 and with specific reference to 217, 8 and 12. This committee must recommend to the House. And the recommendation must be by way of the decision of the committee, whether a majority or a consensus decision. I would therefore put a question that whether we should take Governor Minta Akandong by consensus or by a majority decision. We form a quorum. And may I hear the members?
Consensus.
All members. Honorable Akandong, consensus. Samuel Okujato Ablakwa.
Consensus.
More consensus.
Isifu Sedu.
Consensus.
Mrs. Charity Gardner.
Consensus.
Salisu B. Urebe Isifu.
Consensus.
Wilbert Betty Brentum. Petty Brentum.
Consensus.
Joseph Nelson.
Consensus.
Joseph Adai Akwabwa.
Consensus.
Francis Owusu Entry.
Consensus.
Felix Kwachi Ofosu.
Consensus.
Eko Edumwa Eko Penyi Ochre.
Consensus.
Poison Charles Luanga.
Consensus.
Honourable members, a decision has been taken by the committee to recommend for the consideration of the House the minister-designate for their various decisions. Once again, I am so grateful. Thank you very much for the endurance. Thank you.
Live from number 5 Ola Hansen Lane at Tesano in Accra, this is Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 Television. With me, Umaru Sanda Amadou. Coming up. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin suspends 4 MPs, orders investigations into Thursday night's Appointments Committee violence.
But the Marshal is hereby directed to ensure the full enforcement of this suspension in accordance with the rules of the House.
Minister-Designate for Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa pushes for closer ties with Sahelian states to safeguard Ghana's interests. President John Mahama calls for increased infrastructure investment to boost free movement of goods across Africa.
We are beginning to see an opening up of our continent. Many countries are adopting visa-free arrangements so that it allows free movement of people amongst our country.
Some persons facing criminal charges welcome the Attorney General's decision to discontinue the trials.
I see the prosecution, or which today people call persecution, as a narrative that the Akufo-Addo administration was simply trying to push across, just to vilify and paint the Mahama administration as a corrupt administration. But unfortunately, I think time has revealed that indeed that was not the case.
And in CNR business, President John Mahama nominates Dr. Johnson Isiama as new Bank of Ghana governor as Dr. Ernest Addison prepares for retirement. We're grateful that you join us for the Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 Television. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou. Settle for details of our stories, and we start from Parliament. An MP is involved in the